Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the Calgary Airport Authority's 2022 Annual General Meeting. My name is Carmel Hunka. I am the Vice President of People, Risk, and General Counsel at the Calgary Airport Authority. I am very pleased to be your host today and to present our land acknowledgement. In the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we honor our ancestors and those who took care of this land long before we were here by acknowledging the Treaty 7 territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy. This includes the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani peoples, as well as the Îyârhe Nakoda and Tsuut'ina Nation of Alberta nations. This territory is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We embrace the role of helping to protect the space and foster the growth and development of the peoples, both the Indigenous and non-Indigenous, who live, work, and play on these lands. Today, our program begins with a welcome and remarks from our Chair of the Board of Directors, Matthew Heffernan. President and CEO Bob Sartor will elaborate on the main stories that emerged over the course of 2021. These include how safety remains at the core of everything we do, steps the organization took to position YYC from reacting to the pandemic to rebounding through recovery, all thanks to the resilience and creativity of our YYC crew. And Bob will cover the 2021 financial and performance highlights and will detail the initiatives that demonstrate our commitment to creating a stronger future for YYC. Before we end, we will wrap up our AGM with a Q&A session to answer any questions that were submitted in advance. As you know, masks are required in all public areas of the terminal. Today, as we are in a private area of the airport, our speakers will remove our masks at the podium while speaking. A reminder that the 2021 annual report and financial reports are now available to read on our website at yyc.com/annual report. You will also see an ESG report posted as well. With that, I would like to introduce our Chair of the Board of Directors, Matthew Heffernan.
Thank you, Carmel, and good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Calgary Airport Authority's annual general meeting in my first year as chair. I will now officially call the meeting to order. And first, let me thank you for joining us in this virtual format. Last year was the first time the annual meeting was held online in an effort to keep everyone safe and to avoid gathering in groups. As we have learned over the past 2 years, virtual formats also offer additional flexibility and accessibility, so we're glad to be doing it again. I'm pleased to be here along with my fellow directors and the authority's executive team for our annual report. As a not-for-profit corporation governed by the Alberta Regional Airports Authorities Act, the authority holds its annual general meeting having provided proper notice under the Act and other governing documents. I have been advised by our General Counsel that we are in material compliance with the legal requirements as set forth in the Regional Airports Authorities Act and other governing documents, and that this meeting is properly constituted for the transaction of business. I'm grateful to serve as chair alongside an incredible team. The authority has a talented, dedicated group of individuals on its board. In total, there are 16 directors appointed by one of 4 governing bodies: the Calgary Chamber of Commerce Long Range Planning Committee, the City of Calgary, the Government of Canada, and Rocky View County. From the Calgary Chamber, our appointees are myself, Matthew Heffernan, David Blom, Donald Cormack, Heather Kennedy, James Midwinter, Manjeet Minhas, Craig Richmond, Andrea Robertson, Sheldon Schroeder, and Marie Sigler. From Rocky View County, our appointee is Randy Charon. Our Transport Canada appointees are Andrea Gertz and Phil Scheibel. And from the City of Calgary, our appointees are Gina Abel Morissette, Grant McEachran, and Lisa Aldridge. The authority benefits from having an extremely talented and dedicated group of individuals on our board. We are rooted in this community with extensive business experience, and we are diligent in our governance and oversight of the Calgary Airport Authority. Under the Alberta Regional Airports Authority Act, auditors are to be appointed annually. We fulfilled this requirement at a regular meeting of the Board of Directors where we appointed PricewaterhouseCoopers as our auditor for the year ending December 31st, 2022. I can confirm our financial reporting has been audited by this accounting firm and is available on the authority's website. On behalf of our auditors, Ryan McKay is also in attendance virtual. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the staff of the authority and those who assisted in organizing today's event. Looking back at 2021, it was a year that showcased the authority's resilience and creativity in difficult circumstances. This is something Bob will elaborate further on in his comments. What YYC teams accomplished and how they lived the authority's values has been incredible to watch and fills me with optimism for the future. The board remains confident that our commitment to strong governance, our world-class employees, and the strength of our partners will facilitate ongoing innovation and ensure that Calgary and Springbank airports remain vital economic generators for our region. Additionally, in the months ahead, the board has an important task to attend to, the selection of a successor for President and CEO Bob Sartor. Bob announced recently that he's decided to step down later this year. He had always planned to make a mark during his tenure and then hand over the role. We are grateful that he accomplished all he set out to achieve and then some. This includes the strides he made in modernizing leadership, finances, and strengthening our partnerships. We have launched an international search for his replacement, and once selected, the new CEO will build upon the solid foundation that Bob has put in place. With that, let me now turn the presentation over to Bob.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us virtually today. For my opening remarks, I will be delivering them in both English and French. I'm pleased to provide you with an overview of the highlights, achievements, and financial situation of the authority over the past year, focusing on three key themes or stories. We'll talk about stories of resilience, recovery, and growth. 2021 was a challenging year with the continued disruption and uncertainty that the pandemic brought. The travel and tourism industries were among the hardest hit. As our chair mentioned, it truly was a year that we showcased our resilience as both individuals and as an organization. Our teams combined creativity and innovation to respond to the challenges and opportunities we faced. Improvements were made to our space, our processes, and our finances, changes that created efficiencies and value for our partners. And that enabled us to be ready to support guests with safe, effortless experiences. Our recovery was strong in 2021. YYC, in fact, was the most recovered major airport in the country. As we see 2022 bringing growth, as forecasts for the year ahead look very promising. The stronger we are at YYC, the greater our contributions are to the city, the region, and the community that we serve. With a strong foundation beneath us, I am confident that we have the team, the governance structure, and the strategy to successfully navigate our future. I would now like to introduce the authority's leadership team who are here virtually. Each one has played an instrumental role in getting us to where we are today, and I thank them profusely for their efforts. Carmel Hunka, our Vice President People, Risk and General Counsel, Chris Miles, our Vice President Operations and Infrastructure, and Rob Palmer, our Vice President Commercial, Strategy and Chief Financial Officer. Thank you. Bonjour et merci de vous être joints à nous aujourd'hui. J'ai le plaisir de vous donner un aperçu des points saillants, des réalisations et de la situation financière de l'administration pour l'année écoulée, en mettant l'accent sur trois thèmes essentiels: la résilience, la relance et la croissance. 2021 a été une année difficile marquée par l'incertitude constante que la pandémie a apportée. Les secteurs du voyage et du tourisme ont été les plus durement touchés. Comme notre président l'a mentionné, cela a été assurément une année au cours de laquelle nous avons montré notre résilience comme personne et comme organisation. Nos équipes ont mis en commun leur esprit de créativité et d'innovation pour relever les défis et saisir les occasions qui se sont présentées. Nous avons apporté des améliorations à notre espace, nos processus et nos finances. Des changements qui ont procuré de l'efficacité et de la valeur à nos partenaires. Et cela nous permet d'être prêts à soutenir nos visiteurs et leur offrant des expériences sécuritaires et sans effort. Notre reprise a été vigoureuse en 2021, YYC ayant été de tous les grands aéroports du Canada, celui qui a le plus récupéré. Et 2022 promet connaître une forte croissance avec des prévisions très encourageantes pour l'année à venir. Plus nous sommes forts à YYC, plus nous contribuons à la ville, à la région et à la communauté que nous desservons. Je suis convaincu qu'avec la fondation solide qui nous soutient, nous avons l'équipe, la structure de gouvernance et la stratégie qu'il faut pour affronter avec succès l'avenir. We'll now bring up the slides and I will continue with the program. As Carmel Hunka, our MC, said, our number one priority each and every year and always is safety and security. A priority that guided us as we navigated the past year with resilience, and one that will continue to lead us in the future as we rebound from the pandemic. With challenges similar to the year before, our dedicated team remained uncompromising about maintaining a safe experience for our guests and a safe work environment for our employees. In the face of the ongoing turbulence of the pandemic, we worked tirelessly with airline partners, agencies, and government regulators to reinforce our top priority of maintaining the health and safety of everyone who passed through these terminals. In 2021, we continued to provide our employees, guests, and partners with peace of mind. The authority successfully attained for the second year in a row the Airports Council International Accreditation for the hashtag Fly Healthy YYC program. Resilience and creativity were on display throughout the year as our team, which we fondly referred to as YYC Crew, completed several noteworthy all-hands-on-deck projects that made an impact on the guest and partner experience. We renovated the main passenger area of Concourse C. We reopened many shopping and dining locations for guests. We added an online booking option to enhance the guest experience and reduce the parking charges. And we completed one of the largest airside pavement restoration projects in the airport's history, as well as restoring pavement on Springbank Airport's busiest taxiway. The authority also secured $57.5 million from the federal government for a major rehabilitation of YYC's West Runway. This project will create up to 300 jobs for Albertans over the next 3 years and ensure the airport can meet the demands of passenger and cargo traffic for at least the next 40 years. Last year, our teams reimagined our space with guest experience and efficiency in mind. A consolidation project brought domestic gates into Concourse D, which previously had been used for international guests. With this change, guests have a more seamless flow and enhanced shopping and dining options. We also brought back the Link Shuttle to connect guests between each concourse. And we introduced YYC Express Security Check-in, a new tool that shows the remarkable power of combining technology, data, and analytics to improve guest experiences. It has set the bar for what we will strive to achieve with technology in the future. Throughout 2021, the authority nurtured our existing relationships and established new ones with key partners. The Ace Casino on Airport Campus is now set to open in the fall of 2022 and will create several hundred jobs, including 200 permanent positions. In November, we welcomed the announcement that a brand new airline, Lynx Air, was launching operations at YYC, and after less than 6 months, their inaugural flight took off last week. It's exciting to have a front row seat to witness the revolution in the Canadian market. What we're seeing with new airline and existing airline partners expanding their routes is an expression of confidence in YYC, our path to recovery, and to this city's path to recovery. Now, let me share some performance highlights from 2021. One of the most important moves the authority made last year was to restructure our debt. I would say it's probably one of the most important moves we've made in the last 5 years. After nearly 2 years of the pandemic sustained financial uncertainty and challenges, we restructured our debt, providing a strong financial platform for the authority to continue our role as a vital hub for the economic growth of Calgary and its surrounding regions. In this historic move, we raised $2.1 billion. It was the largest inaugural bond offering by a Canadian airport issuer. In fact, it was so popular, it was oversubscribed to the tune of $9.5 billion. A reaction like this from investors represents confidence in YYC and its future and confidence in our city. It gives us the certainty that we need to fund operations and plan our growth strategically. Of course, COVID-19 continued to have an adverse impact on both operations and finances last year. We saw travel restrictions and quarantine and testing requirements throughout the year. This had an impact on YYC, of course, and the travel and aviation industries across the world. Toward the second half of 2021, we began to see a stabilization in demand. You'll see here the changes in our financial position between 2019, 2020, and 2021. In 2021, total revenue was $216 million, an increase of 24% compared to 2020. But we still have a long way to go to reach the revenue generated in 2019 of $432 million. Expenses for 2021 were $154 million, a 5% increase over 2020, driven by additional traffic and cargo operations. You will note that we had a 24% increase in revenues and only a 5% increase in expenses, and that is because we are managing our cost structure judiciously. We want to come out of this pandemic with the lowest cost structure of any major airport. Our adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization was $62 million, a good improvement from 2021. We continued our disciplined approach to investing in only necessary capital projects in 2021. After significantly reducing capital spending in 2020 to only $18 million, capital spending in 2021 slightly increased to $30 million. Capital projects are investments in our future. Maintenance and growth projects are an essential part of preserving safety and longevity of our assets. If recovery continues as forecast, we are looking to invest approximately $55 million in capital projects in 2022. Now, let's turn our attention to passenger traffic. In 2021, YYC saw 6.3 million guests pass through the terminal, an 11% increase from 2020 and the highest increase of any major airport in Canada. Overall, for the year, we ended up with only 35% of 2019 passengers. However, if you see on the right side of this chart, you'll see a much stronger increase in the second half of the year, bringing us closer to 50% of 2019 passenger numbers between July and December. Continuing as a leader in connecting flights, about 38% of our guests in 2021 were connecting passengers. YYC has one of the highest percentage of connecting flights in Canada, and we're one of the top connecting airports really in the world as a percentage of our total business. Another positive sign we saw in 2021 that hints at a bright future is the number of airline partners and the number of their destinations and departures all increased in 2021. While we haven't yet rebounded to reach 2019 numbers, we have certainly seen progress worth celebrating, especially after airlines weathered the worst year on record in 2020. We are really proud of YYC's role in the transportation of critical goods through our state-of-the-art cargo facilities. We are a critical part of the supply chain for our region, supporting important shipments and creating jobs. It's become even more important over the last couple of years as many PPE and vaccine flights landed at our airport. Every major metric that we use to measure cargo improved in 2021. This includes landings, tonnage, and revenue. Some of this can be attributed to Cargojet, who is one of our largest cargo partners and had continued growth trajectory last year. And a lot of it is also due to e-commerce, where consumers flocked to during the pandemic. On a related positive note, WestJet and Air Canada are both expanding their focus on transporting more air cargo. Not to be forgotten, of course, Springbank Airport is an important part of who we are. The Springbank Airport is a 24/7 operation that generates approximately $135 million in both direct and indirect GDP. Springbank is the regional hub for aircraft and helicopter flight training and other aircraft operations. It facilitates recreational flying, corporate and air charter activity, and aircraft maintenance, manufacturing, and support operations, including serving as a base for air tanker fire suppression aircraft during the fire season. Situated on more than 1,000 acres of land, the airport is home to more than 30 businesses and 400 aircraft. Springbank is the second busiest general aviation airport in the country and is the 5th busiest airport in Canada when measuring total aircraft movements, which is remarkable. When we think about the future, our sights are set on recovery. Trends show an increase in guests taking trip to reconnect with the people and the experiences that come with travel. To meet the demand growth, we are hiring more people, reopening businesses that had been shuttered, and investing in significant critical capital projects with the future in mind. The progress we're making can be attributed to the professionalism and coordinated efforts of nearly 25,000 people who work at the YYC Calgary International Airport campus. Vital partnerships with governments as well as travel, tourism, community, and business leaders enable the authority to provide the best possible guest experience and to preserve our role as a vital economic generator for Calgary and the surrounding region. The journey to recovery will definitely rely on these relationships. A key element of our strategic plan involved identifying opportunities for the authority to not only integrate sustainability into our airport campus, but also into our corporate decision-making. It will position our organization and partners to work together to reduce our ecological footprint and maximize our contributions to our community. We have aligned our sustainability strategy to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Intermediate and long-term targets have been set, targeting zero emissions and net zero waste by 2050. Now, let's look at passenger forecasts for 2021 and 2022. Where we saw 6.3 million passengers in 2021, this year holds the potential and the promise to rebound to between 10 and 13 million passengers. We've seen WestJet, Air Canada, and other carriers announce new routes and ambitious schedules. Of course, these are projections, and we know how quickly the environment can change because we've lived through it for the past 2 years. But this is exactly the direction we need to be going in as an airport and as a community. And YYC is ready to welcome these guests and support their journeys. Finally, as the chair mentioned, I have decided to transition the job of CEO to the hands of a new leader later this year. Looking back on our accomplishments, the Calgary Airport Authority has exceeded my expectations. We have achieved transformational changes in leadership, culture, relationships, and financial sustainability. We have set records for passenger numbers and cargo volumes prior to COVID, and we expanded our network around the world. We drove value to Airline Partners and made significant contributions to economic and community development. We then withstood a global pandemic that showcased our resilience and our ability to deliver in a period of unprecedented change. In the year ahead, I will move to the next stage of my career, knowing that the airport has a strong foundation to excel. The search process is underway, and I am supporting the board to ensure the organization has the leadership and stability needed throughout this process. I would not be leaving unless I had full confidence that YYC has a strong management team, a winning strategy, and strong governance practices to maintain continuity and to complete a smooth leadership transition. Let me end by saying how grateful I am for YYC crew, for the guests who trust us to safely aid their journeys, for our partners who work tirelessly and cooperatively alongside us, and for our new investors who showed confidence in our ability to recover swiftly. I will now hand the podium back to our MC, Carmel Hunka.
Thank you, Bob, for sharing your candid thoughts about your time at YYC. You've had an incredible journey over the past 5 years, and you've guided the team through our highs and our lows with enthusiasm and passion. I know you will be missed by the YYC crew, and I know that I am going to take advantage of the next 6 months to learn as much as I can from you. You've been an inspiration to us all. The highlights you provided for 2021 and a glimpse ahead at 2022 paint an interesting and exciting picture for what lies ahead for the authority. We will now begin our Q&A section. As I had noted earlier, we requested questions be submitted in advance, and we have had one question submitted in advance by Mr. John Schmall. His question is, why did YYC and NAV Canada not consult with mainland residents before they implemented a redirected flight path from over the Belfast community in existence for 60+ years to the next door community of Mayland, east of 19th Street Northeast, to be spread out all over that entire community?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Schmall. As the Calgary Airport is an urban airport surrounded by neighborhoods, many communities are affected by noise from air traffic. NAV Canada ultimately manages the flight paths of aircraft, not the airport. The Crossroads community was provided with notice of the jet turn trial before it began over 2 years ago, and regular updates afterwards through the Airport Community Consultative Committee. NAV Canada conducted public consultation sessions earlier this year, and feedback was also sought through an online survey. We now understand that NAV Canada is reviewing the results of the consultation, and a report is being prepared to determine the final outcome of this trial. Thank you again for your question.
Thanks, Bob, and thanks for the question. That concludes our 2022 Annual General Meeting of the Calgary Airport Authority. Thank you all for participating, and a special thanks to the Authority staff and crew who assisted in the production of this meeting. It has gone incredibly well. Our World of Stories 2021 Annual Report and financial reports and ESG report are available at yyc.com/annual report. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.